Hi everybody, this is another video I've wanted to do for a while now, Michael Jackson. I want to do kind of a tribute and I'm going to tell you some of my favorite songs and that kind of thing. Okay, the reason why I wanted to do a video on Michael Jackson alone is because the Jackson family in itself is a musical dynasty. You could talk about Joe Jackson a little bit because he had a slight solo career. And most people focus on either Janet Jackson or Michael Jackson. And you can't really talk about one without talking about the other, but I'm going to try my best to talk about only Michael Jackson in this. All right, so he was born in 1950 in, or 1959 in Gary, Indiana. Now he was let's see, I think he was the seventh of nine children. Because there was space between him and their ages, he and Janet, but they were the closest in their family. Um, okay, so he became a member of the Jackson Five at the age of 5. And then he broke out on his own at the age of 19 or 20 with the Off the Wall album. And it was a big, obviously a big hit, but also a big disappointment to his father because he had the mindset of how dare you separate yourself from your own family. But he did it, and there's a video out there. I think it's uh, either Wanna Be Starting Something or one of those, where he needed backup dancers, so he just uh, made himself over and over again. And they say it was to prove a point that he didn't even need backup dancers. So, um, and then after that, the biggest album on the planet, I think, is Thriller. Everyone knows about it. Everyone knows about the song Thriller itself and Beat It and, Bad. So, yeah, it's the biggest selling album probably ever. And it was on the charts for a good while. So, yeah, that's impressive. And then after that, it came, all the other albums just kind of came one after the other. And I may not know exactly what album everything came on because there was a bad album, there was a dangerous album, uh, there was the one in '95. I mean, he's had so many albums, but I can tell you the songs. 1992 was the Dangerous album, and it had In the Closet and Jam and Heal the World. Yeah, I think that's him at that time. But the reason why I sound so disjointed is because also they used his music in a lot of soundtracks. Like they used "Will You Be There" in the Free Willy soundtrack, and they used let's see, they used Jam in Space Jam for Space Jam, but that was '96, um, '95, '96. So, yeah. But my point is that he's had a lot of hits. He had a lot of hits. Actually, one funny story is he was really good friends with Paul McCartney from the Beatles. And so he was talking to Paul McCartney about, well, what do I do? How do I protect my songs and all this stuff? And he says, okay, you got to buy the catalog so no one can touch your songs, right? So he takes that advice and he buys the Beatles catalog. Yeah. And they became friends, I think, a little bit before they did that single, Say, Say, Say. And then, of course, everyone knows he was a longtime friend of Quincy Jones. So, he had some high power connections. But I think his best music was when he was completely raw and open, and everybody knew it was him. You know, very personal songs. Those are the ones I enjoyed because I felt like it was actually him talking to us as the audience, um, as as best he could. Um, I felt bad for him at some points because imagine you've been famous your whole life. I mean, literally your whole life. You don't know what normal is. You don't know what it's like to play or whatever like a kid, and you don't know what it's like to have normal friends that don't want you for something. So you always question, whenever you meet somebody or somebody meets you, you always question, okay, do they want to be my friend because they want to be my friend, or because of what I can do for them, or because of my money, or, you know, that had to be hard. And also, being in the spotlight, you're also, you know, rumored to be with everybody. Well, I mean, it's a common thing, I think, in Hollywood, that, I mean, the second you get pictured with somebody, like even near somebody, or they see a picture of you in a magazine, they automatically assume that you're with that person just because they took a picture together. And you could be friends, or you could not even know them, and you're dating them. That's crazy, you know. So yeah, I mean, of course, like with Whitney Houston, like I said in the last video, it was a tragedy because you always think, even when they're relatively, I consider 48, 50 young. So you still think about what could they have done in their life? What other music could they have created? So,